Welcome to this daily guided meditation practice. This is the Attentive Mind. My name is Nathan, and I'll be guiding you through this meditation practice today. Find yourself a seated position. Any position works. It's preferable to sit down on the ground with an upright back, but really you just want to find what works for you. You can sit in a chair, you can even be lying down. It matters not. This is also an open eye meditation practice. We don't close our eyes here. Although if you have learned to practice with your eyes closed, feel free to do so. There are no hindrances. But if your eyes are open, go ahead and just drop them down below you, kind of glancing lightly at the floor. We're not staring or analyzing anything in particular, but we're also not blurry and buzzed and zoned out. We just have a nice, light, clear gaze looking downward. You're in a nice, comfortable seated position. Your eyes are open and down. Just settle here in this moment. Let the body relax all by itself. And you may have a giant to-do list, things that need to be done. Not only today, but for the rest of your life. And just drop it. Give yourself permission right now to be here without trying to lean into the future in any way. And let go of this story you have about yourself, about your past, all the things you've done, all the things you didn't do, your accomplishments and your mistakes. Give yourself permission as well to just sit here without your life story. Just relax right here as this moment. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do and no one to become. Give yourself permission right here to leave the past and the future alone and exist completely here and now. Drop them both and rest. And I'm probably catching you thinking right now about the past and the future. I interrupted you having a conversation with yourself in your head. But we're not here to stop thinking. We're not here to quiet the mind. You can't stop thinking because it happens in the same way your heartbeat happens. It happens all by itself. But you don't have to continuously pay attention to it and give it energy with your attention and awareness. That's why it is useful in meditation to pay attention to something else, something that happens completely presently, something that happens only now. And that is traditionally the breath. Bring your attention away from your head and just drop it to the lower belly, below the navel, below the belly button. And just notice this area here. Become intimate with it. Notice how when the breath comes in, the lower belly expands. And as the breath leaves, this area relaxes all by itself. Stay here with it. Watch the rising and falling sensations of the breath and let your thoughts go. And I'm probably catching you lost in another thought, planning, worrying, remembering. When this happens, it's not a problem. It's just your habit. Simply return to the lower belly. You will get lost again. Then gently return again to the lower belly. This will happen over and over. But do this completely effortlessly. Effortlessly return to the breath. Come back. Come back to breathing. Wake up. Wake up from thinking. Return to breathing. Rising and falling. Do this effortlessly. And I'm probably catching you thinking again. That's okay. However, instead of returning to the breath here, inquire this: what gets lost in thought? What are these thoughts talking to exactly? In the same way you found the breath, find the one who sees thoughts. Find the one that hears this voice. What are you? What sits here? What gets lost in thinking? Look carefully. All right, you can look at the screen. We live in two realities. Correction. We live usually in two illusions. We plan for a future and we continuously consult a past. But right here, right now, where's the future? Right here, where's the past? So you can find your breath with your attention. Can you find the future? You can find your breath with the attention. Can you find the past? Is it here? Obviously not. Yet we live our lives continuously thinking of these things. But it's not you who is thinking. Thoughts do this by themselves. Thinking is an evolutionary adaptation to survival. And part of thinking's nature is to continuously think about the past and the future, worry about the future, and think about the good old times or the bad old times. It's a survival thing. And it happens by itself in the same way that the heartbeat happens by itself. But because we are attached to it, because we pay attention to it all the time, it being thoughts, because we pay attention to thoughts all the time, we are captured by them and we think we are them. So we live a life that is just spread. And as Eckhart Tolle says, you know those scrolls back in the old times and they had those wheels? Eckhart Tolle says to just turn them in. Which really isn't a good analogy. We just drop it. We recognize what we are before this next thought arises. If we don't do that, then we're always trapped by thinking. We're worried about our image. We're worried about what people are going to think of us. When we're in pain, we're worried about how long that pain will happen in the future, so we suffer more. When something happened, somebody said something mean to me the other day, whatever it is, we don't just leave that pain when that happened. We keep being hurt by it because we think about it. Like if somebody called you a fat idiot, oh, how dare they? And it hurt. But then we're sitting here and it keeps hurting. Like, oh, I can't believe they called me a fat idiot. Well, I should have said this. Next time when I see them, I'm going to do this. You just keep suffering because we're attached to thinking. And because we're attached to thinking, we believe that we are our thoughts. The next thought that goes to your head, you claim to be yours. And that's why during the practice, I ask, what cease thinking? What gets lost in thought? What is it? What are you? The question when we ask, what am I? What gets lost in thought? Isn't an answerable question. It's not something that you do more thinking to figure out. It's a question to dissolve the questioner, as Sri Ramana Maharshi says. Because you're not your thoughts. You are before thinking arises. And the less you know that, it's knowledge without knowledge, basically, but the less you are aware of what you are before the next thought arises, the more you suffer. But when we learn to let go of the thinking, we come back home, right here and now. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for showing up for your life. And I'll see you tomorrow.